Okay, let's look ahead to the year ahead. And you mentioned sexual offences bill. That's a massive bill, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
I mean, it's great detail, much bigger offences, prison sentences or whatever, tariffs here, if it comes through. Do you see it making it through on that level?
I do see it making it through, and there are some interesting human rights issues that are going to be played out in some of these bills as well. But overall, this is a much needed modernisation of the legislation that currently dates back to 1992, and even that 1992 Act was based on a far older English Act. So we are sort of improving some of the things that really do need improving, especially around the use of the internet, and what we call certainly. I think the first conviction for pornography and child pornography was around people who had photographs on glass slates right back in the Victorian day.
Yeah, 18-something, wasn't it? They brought it in then.
It's as old as photography itself. And so if you think about the changes in technology, we're still having to regulate cine film on the one hand, and on the other hand, you're talking about the dark web and some of the really difficult things around the cutting edge technology.
But problematically, I mean, you could have children being caught up in this because children swapping a picture on their phone could lead them to be.
Indeed, and that's why one of the really interesting debates we're going to have around what offences should apply at 16, what offences should apply at 18, and what happens when you've got two 16, 17-year-olds in a relationship, or a 17 and an 18-year-old in a relationship.
It's a minefield, isn't
it? These are really difficult questions, but these are the sort of things we expect the House of Keys to engage with and to make really rational judgments on, based on what we want as a culture.
I mean, so often the Isle of Man is always still seen as following the UK. They do their legislation. It's easier just to then pick it up and cut and paste within reason and make the odd tweak. Isn't that normally just the easier way of doing it?
And actually, a lot of the legislation that's in this bill is that. Some of it has been taken from New South Wales, so there are some areas we've taken...
Australia, New South Wales?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And so some really innovative approaches from elsewhere in the world. So I commend the department on doing that, but some of it is taken from the UK. I certainly remember my last act as Home Affairs Minister, before coming Speaker the next day, was to commit that the pardons for former homosexual acts would be included in the consultation for the Sexual Offences Bill, and I'm pleased to see that that's made it through the consultation and it's there in the Green Bill, and it's going to be voted on as part of the clauses. So that's something that I think will take us forward leaps and bounds in terms of our reputation compared to the dark days of the 1980s, which for someone who was only at school in those days, it's hard to believe that
we've gone through this. We've moved very fast.
We have, and it's no bad thing at all. And they do say that the past is a foreign country, and it is to me that looking back at some of those things that were being debated in the House of Keys in the 1980s are a world apart from the Isle of Man of today.
You mentioned Home Affairs there, and of course it kind of fell out the other day, in mentioned by the Chief Minister that he's looking to axe that department. You seem very chirpy on that subject. Well, you got views on it?
I was wondering whether this was something that he was looking at, and I'd be surprised.
You asked him a couple of times to clarify it.
And we still don't have an answer. But I don't know. I worry greatly that if you abolish that department, firstly, I don't think you're going to save an awful lot of money. Certainly by the time I'd finished with that, it wasn't a big department anyway.
It started big, but your time you had the cuts, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And certainly the headquarters staff were cut by 3/4. I mean, it was really significant. But the real thing is, but constitutionally speaking, you have to ensure the independence of the operation of the constabulary, and how you are going to achieve that in other areas, how you're going to rely on some of the regulatory elements and make sure that there are a proper separation of powers if you're going to get rid of that department and put it somewhere else.
And where would it go in your view?
I've no idea.
It has to go somewhere.
Well, this is part of you may sort of think you're solving some problems, but you're probably going to create others. So I wait with interest. I mean, if there's a better way of doing things, that's fine. I've got no problem. But I just don't. I haven't heard yet what that might be. Okay.
What else are you looking forward to in this next 12 months?
Great. Well, in the next few months, of course, we'll have new elections for Legislative Council early in the new year, March in 2020. So that will be something that's will be engaging the minds of the House of Keys and getting a new raft of candidates. There'll be at least one vacancy. David Cretney standing down.
Yes.
So we'll have at least one person, but who knows, up to 4 coming in from outside.
You're not going up there or anything like that. You're happy. But there's potential still for other MHKs to...
There's potential, but certainly the word on the street around here...
We get gossip. Here we go.
A bit of good gossip for you.
Gossip like this.
I don't see many members looking at it. Bear in mind, we've got most of the members here are quite new and still looking to make their mark in the House of Keys. So I don't see there being people looking to go up at this stage, which is, of course, a bit of a danger in itself, because we are genuinely in danger of losing a lot of our corporate memory. If you think that David Cretney's going, of course, David's been a member of the House of Keys, is the grandfather of Tynwald. He's been there since 1985, which is a phenomenal amount of.
He's not enjoyed himself up there, though, has he? He keeps telling me that anyway. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I sit and work well with David Hughes, the chairman of the Social Policy Review Committee, and I think he really, really enjoys that work. Because I think that is where his heart is in politics.
Any more diversity up there, then? I mean, because it's still very white. You've mixed it up now. We've got the male-female sort of about right. I mean, how far do you go? I think the last Legislative Council showed what we can achieve in terms of the diversity of Tynwald. We did far more ladies in there now. We do also have a far younger Legislative Council than we've had in the past. But there's a balance to be struck. And so whilst I'd have liked to have seen a bit of corporate memory from Keys in there, which I think would have helped this time coming, there's still more we can do. So let's see what's out there, and that's all about the field. I mean, just like when we go around knocking on doors for the House of Keys, the electorate out there can only pick from the people that actually stand. But it's really important that people don't think, well, I don't know many members of the House of Keys. I don't know if this is, but if it's something that people are interested in, they really should put their hand up and start talking to their MHK about standing for Legislative Council. And just finishing on the MLCs, Anne Corlett, did you support her view to cut it back?
I don't, no.
Okay.
I don't think that's a helpful use of the resource we've got. Bear in mind that if we're going to seriously be a country on the international stage rather than a town council, we've got an awful lot of work to do and an awful lot of jobs to fill. And cutting the upper house and the scrutiny and the revision element by 2, I just don't think is helpful. Okay.
You were quite keen, you brought it up that you'd like to see maybe Tynwald broadcast on the BBC Parliament channel, that sort of thing. Would that be something?
Well, I think we're paying for the BBC. We should get our money's worth from it, shouldn't we? Or we should get a rebate that we could use perhaps to pay for Manx Radio.
Well, go on then. I mean, where are we up to on this? I mean, BBC and its system. We plod on for another year, don't we? And they give us a political correspondent now or something.
It's little by little, hey. But this is something that's being led by the Cabinet Office. We know that Mr Thomas is in negotiations. Whether those negotiations will go far enough to keep people on the Isle of Man happy, I don't know. Certainly when we had our select committee on Manx Radio, we said that we should have a proverbial gun in the drawer, that we should be threatening to walk away from the BBC TV licence area if we weren't getting a service that was value for money on the Isle of Man. I still think we're a long way away from that case being made.
And what did you think about the outcome to the whole debate on Manx Radio and where it went to the end? Because I forgot you on that committee with radical ideas which were rejected.
They were. I mean, whilst some of the views that we had in the select committee, maybe pining for the fjords, I think we had to sort of take a view. What I was disturbed at in that debate was the hand-wringing and the sheer disassociation of Treasury with a company that it owns. And it couldn't seem to care less.
Mr Cannon didn't support it. He had to take it through. It was a very...
Well, he didn't have to take it through. And of course, it's up to council ministers to what motion they put down. There was they weren't bound. They could have said, here's what Manx Radio want, but here's what we think, and this is the motion that we think. Okay. But that wasn't what happened. So it was just there's their idea, we don't agree with it, but we have no idea of our own.
Yeah.
And so that was the worst possible...
Kerry Sharp's thing didn't take, so it's just... Anyway, we'll leave that for another day. How are you? Are you enjoying yourself?
I am. I really do enjoy the job. As I say, you never know what's going to come in through the door next. From a constituency perspective, there's always a whole host of issues going on there. In terms of members, I really enjoy having that sort of very different sort of relationship with members, because, of course, they're all members of the House of Keys, whether you're government or opposition. And whilst scrutiny is an important part of being something other than a minister, I do take it seriously that I have a duty to all of the members of the House of Keys, and I really do enjoy that. Good.
Well, the countdown's on. We're definitely on the home stretch now. So before I ask you for numbers, I have to keep pushing this one to you. I think it's every year. You want to be president, right?
I don't know. There's so many options out there.
You love it. You love all this stuff. You love the pomp. You love the ceremony, and you do it. And it seems a natural fit to go from speaker to president.
And I really also, though, love being member of the House of Keys for Russian, and I have a fantastic constituency down there, and I really enjoy doing that work in terms of helping people. That's why a lot of us get into politics in the first place.
Well, let me just
it's not just the value for money stuff and all that sort of thing that I really enjoy, but that's it.
Let's cut through this. You wouldn't say no if it came up, right?
I'd be honoured if I got nominated.
Fine, we'll take that. We'll take that. We'll park that for another year because we're still a bit away from it. You're going to stand again, then. Obviously, you're clearly making it sound that your politics is your life.
Life's a long time, isn't it?
Okay,
you get parole from
professional
life,
politician then, or something.
Well, it's better than being an unprofessional politician, isn't it, Paul? but no, I do. I wake up every morning, I bounce out of bed, and I can't wait to come in and face
the bus.
Yeah, and face the issues.
Love it.
I'm the only one with a government driver, though, aren't I?
Okay, very quickly, how did you do out of 10 last? I hadn't had a chance to look back at this last year, so I can't remember. So just
same as last year.
I can't remember. We'll give it.
I can't say I've got...
Do you want to say 7 or feisty 8?
Go on, I have a feisty 8.
Feisty 8. And the government
gives me room to go down next year.
Because I think there's a bit of angst there with you and the government. I get the impression that you're not over impressed with the way it's run.
I'm there to, in part, hold them to account. Certainly as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, I'm never going to shy away from that. If that leaves them a little bit with their nose out of joint, then I'm sorry, but I've got a job to do too.
Out of 10?
How's the government doing?
Out of 10, yes, out of 10.
I'll give them same as last year. I think I gave them a 7 last year. I'll give them a 7 again this year.